Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about one of the most famous black teas, and in fact the oldest black tea, Lapsang Souchong, and why you might like this tea. Now before we begin, please check out the back catalog of episodes that we have, and I'll make sure that I put some that are applicable to this one, namely what is black tea, because Lapsong Souchong is a type of black tea. Now, what makes this black tea very unique is that it is smoke dried. And it is smoke dried in a way that gives it a very distinct liquor and a very distinct taste. It's smoke dried over pine wood, and it has a very, as the name would suggest, kind of just a smoky blackness. Now, Lapsang Souchong was renowned to be loved by Winston Churchill. He would drink this black tea every day. The English, they tend to like the more lighter black teas, maybe some Keeman, maybe Earl Grey, but he loved Lapsang Souchong. And it is a typical black tea in that it's 100% oxidized. And with Lapsang Souchong, and like with most, if not all the Chinese black teas, this is going to be orthodox tea leaves. We've talked about previously how the majority of tea that is produced in the world is black tea. And why is that? For iced tea. So black tea, historically, like most teas, at least since the Ming Dynasty, has been loose leaf, so about 400 years. But about 100 years ago, when the British started to make black tea in India after they smuggled out some tea plants, you can play this on Robert Fortune. We have that episode on 2,500 years of tea history in 10 minutes. When they started cultivating their own tea production in India, Sri Lanka, Kenya, they made black tea. And the black tea that they made was typically later CTC'd, or crushed, torn, and curled. They created the machinery, it's about 100 years ago, where they got the tea leaves orthodox and they shred them into fanning. So it's essentially sawdust, what you have now. So that's what we perceive to be kind of lower class, inferior quality sawdust. So you have CTC, which is the pulverized stuff they use in iced tea, which is sadly also the pulverized stuff that you find in the majority of tea, whether it be green, white, black, that you find in tea bags, versus orthodox. So orthodox is loose leaf black tea. Either way, so in Lapsang Souchong, and Lapsang means pine wood, Lapsang Souchong, they're going to smoke this out. Think of like barbecue. So they leave it in these houses and they smoke it and smoke it and smoke it. And because they smoke it, the tea leaves breathe in this smoky flavor. And so when you drink it, it has a very unique taste. The Russians love Lapsang Souchong. We talked about that episode about the camel trade routes that went from China into Russia. And so their Russian caravan, their famous blend that the Russians like, is 20% Lapsang Souchong. And so what does it taste like? Well, I'll show you a picture of the leaves, and I'll show you a picture of the liquor here in a second. It's smoky. So if you like a Darjeeling, which we sell first and second flush Darjeeling. Those are the champagne of tea. Those are very light blacks. This does not taste anything like that at all. And if you compare it to an Earl Grey, maybe it has more of like, if you like an Earl Grey taste, I would say it's more similar to more of the robust blackness black teas that you would find in China, like Keeman. But there's really no comp compared that we can compare Lapsang Souchong to, because it is smoked. And there are other teas that are smoked historically, but Lapsang is the most famous one. And this is another weird thing, is a lot of people don't know that black tea you think like is one of the oldest teas, but in fact it's not. The Chinese were making green teas and oolongs and pu'ers way before they started making black teas. And they realized that when the Dutch traders started to come in the 1600s, that black tea, as they were making it during this time, just was able to be preserved longer because it was fully oxidized, but they didn't necessarily know that. And so it developed a market over in Europe, because normally the teas that would get to Europe were kind of rancid and bad because it would take months to get there, but the blacks didn't. And so Lapsang Souchong is a very unique black tasting tea. I don't know if we're going to sell it. Maybe by the time this comes out we are selling it, or we might have it at the tea store. But if you ever have an opportunity to drink it and you tend to like blacks, drink it. Now, Lapsang is not meant to be drunk with milk or sugar. It is meant to be drunk plain as is. I'd probably steep it around 200 degrees. You can go a little under the boil, a typical black kind of temperature, and then just enjoy it. It's a good tea to drink with very spicy food. So if you like peppers or spicy sausages or just foods that are known to be spicy, it's great. And look, you can compare it with barbecue to smoky things. So it's just a great, unique black tea, and it is my favorite black tea, more than chai, more than Earl Grey. I love all the teas that we sell, but when I want a black and I'm in the mood for a black, I go to Lapsong. Guys, post in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. Until next time, take care and God bless.